So you just told me about, growing up with the stigma of a single parent, even though it's accepted right now, but you were, having a hard time speaking out about it. Why was it? Was it like a part of your upbringing, or like share a little bit about like why was such a stigma of being a single parent?
Thank you very much for having me. It's a great honor to spend this few minutes with you. Single parenting is one of those things that are not talked about growing up. In fact, it is a taboo where I came from. I was born and raised in Nigeria in the Igbo tribe. And one thing we pride ourselves about is the mothers raising their daughters to be a very loyal, of, married and be loyal to the family they are married into. That is usually the biggest mother's pride. They raise you, show you how to take good care of your husband and your husband's family. So, but if you go there and misbehave, or complain that you're being mistreated, or talk back to your husband or something like that, the husband's siblings or relatives close about, they can gang up and beat you up. And if you continue to complain, this is during my time, things have changed now. If you continue to complain, they will actually take you back to the family where you came from, because obviously your mother haven't done a very good job in raising you. And they're not just going to take you back. They will put a jar of wine, the local wine, and you carry it home. They return you back. Your parents have to go back, take you back and plead with them and pay fines or whatever the requirement is for them to have you back. Then they will take your children away from you as well. So because of that stigma and the mothers being held accountable for the sins, quote unquote, the sins of their daughters, right? And the mother will also be penalized in the church. The church will stop them from receiving Holy Communion. Like me, I'm a Catholic. And because again, mother is being held accountable for the actions of their daughter. And so that's kind of, when I grew up, finished secondary school and came to America to go to school, the one thing my mother told me not to do is to bring shame to the family while I'm here. Because so that made me, when I became a single parent, it was like hide it with every inch of your body that nobody finds out and the message goes home. There is a different component to it, another component to it, which is American system. Considering that I am Black, I can't hide it. I have an accent. And American system have this stigma about children raised in a single parent home, a broken home. And not only do I have to fear about my brand being a single parent, about protecting my mother for being penalized in the church back home, I also have to fear about my children because I don't want the society to add them into the statistics of pants on the ground kind of a thing, and kids out on the street doing drugs and doing all those kind of stuff and carrying on. So that was my biggest fear. And that's why it was for the longest time. In fact, it was up until 2020. 2020.
Wow.
My oldest son is 27 years old. It wasn't until 2020 that I can proudly and boldly state I'm a single parent, and I was fine with it.
That is quite an amazing story, right? Like the upbringing, and you really got validation when your son said that, right? Like, and you've done a great job as a mother. Like we talked a little bit about raising really successful 3 children, and despite all the stigma and all the pressures of the society and how you were feeling, you still did a great job as a mother. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any suggestions about people when they're going through this, right? Like based on the upbringing, and what the pressures they're putting on themselves, what could they do?
Person is different. And in the current generation, like what it was when I was growing up in Nigeria is not what it is today.
Yeah.
In the current generation, people can actually, although it's still don't ask, don't tell kind of a thing, people can still slowly revolt. Those ones that have a higher education, it will not happen in the villages. But the people in the other environments, like in the Western world, um, being a single parent is not a sin.
Yeah.
Being a single parent is not that you did something wrong.
Yeah.
We all make decisions about, at the moment, what we think is in the best interest of our hearts and ourselves.
Yeah.
And those times when you make those decisions, maybe a year later, into 6 months later, when the reality really comes in, then you can balance what you can handle compared to what you may not be able to handle.
Yeah.
So based on those two moving parts, what is important and sometimes is for you to look yourself in the mirror and say, if it's just you, then you can make a decision based on the next steps for you so you can be happy and have a fulfilled life, because life is short.
Yeah.
But if there is a child involved, you also have to now balance you plus the child's interest. So what I did in my situation when I realized the married life is not going to work out, my children are better raised in a single parent to give them all that I can and all that I have than being a toxic environment and being degraded all the time, right? When I did that, I made that commitment and I made sure that my children are put in a situation where they will be successful.
Yeah. No, I'm so glad that you could find the courage to speak about it to the person when you were doing your education. And it really helps that one time that you speak up.
And my manager has been incredibly wonderful with me. I mean, if I say, my son is sick, he was like, work from home, don't show up. And if I said, oh, he's doing sports, he was like, well, what time do you need to take a break? Because I know what is important is the people you surround yourselves, because sometimes people don't quit their job, they quit a bad manager.
Yeah.
And I've had so many years of having a bad manager and working, hoping that nobody noticed that I walk on eggshells. I finally had that manager who believed in me
Yeah. That's
and
really
who
cool.
believed in my capabilities and who says, it's okay to be you. It's okay to have an accent. In fact, it's okay for you to be Black. It's even better that you're a woman.
Yeah.
And my manager is a male.
That's so good to have a supportive manager, right? Then you really thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I have confidence. I can post things and I can be proud of who I am, of my accomplishment. And I can tell anybody, oh, my son is this successful. My other son is doing this well. And I don't have anything. In fact, I'm proud because I can state that I raised these children. One source of income.
Yeah.
The only help I had was my job and the daycare.
Yeah. And you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Tina, so much for sharing your story with our cause.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.